Are you looking for a great place to eat? Visit State Street Market in Alton. Whether it's for a Sunday brunch or an intimate night out, State Street is the restaurant you're looking for. The European setting and the aroma of wholesome dining is the perfect start or end to your day. Made with only organic ingredients, these homemade meals will keep you coming back for more. A warm welcome from owners Terry and Glenna Waite. Head over now and experience the heart and soul of State Street Market.
Did you know you can listen to Principia Internet Radio through TuneIn?
Oh yeah! I listen to the live shows on PIR via TuneIn.
I listen to PIR for the sports programs.
I listen to PIR for the cool shows they have.
I listen to PIR for the groovy tunes.
Listen to Principia Internet Radio for 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Start off the radio show for me, Paige.
Oh, hey guys! So this is Christian Blaney's Cockpit. I'm not Christian Blaney, but I'm Paige. I'm another radio show host here for Happy Hour. Shameless self plug. Christian's plugging in all his gear right now so we can have a great show. Yeah, we're talking about a bunch of cool stuff today. It's gonna be such a good time. I'm really honored that, he invited me to talk with him today. I feel so great. This is so cool.
All right. So I'm just going to open up OBS, Open Broadcasting Software. For those of you that don't know, that's what that's kind of like what I record the podcast with. It's just like the software that everyone uses. It's totally free. It's open source, which is something that I've been getting into recently.
Interesting.
It means that you have access to all the code that it takes to make it. So it's kind of like copyright in a way, except it's way easier to do than patents. And patents take a super long time to get through the system. And it's just worse from what I've been learning. Mm-hmm. And of course, obviously, the people who are teaching me are making me a little biased in this situation, but they're not just giving me any false information,
Totally.
All right, this is weird. Why isn't this showing up? Okay, well, I guess we can just get into it. It's okay. I created something so that when video doesn't work, someone can watch something, because I don't expect someone to want to watch the whole show, just maybe see what the guest looks like.
Oh, right. That's true.
So, yeah. All right. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, Christian Blaney's Cockpit. I know Paige already introduced, but for those of you that don't know, it's just a talk radio show hosted by me, Christian Blaney, and I get to bring on whoever I feel like having on and whoever will be on. I'm not really at the stage of someone who's the host for Fresh Air?
Oh, Terry Gross.
I'm not like Terry Gross. I'm not like Joe Rogan. I don't give anyone anything for coming on. It's just people that want to have good conversation.
Wait, you mean this is you're not paying me?
I'm not paying you.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. One day.
Darn. Yeah, one day.
One day I'll pay you an exposure.
Oh,
Paige.
right. I know, right? It'll be my big break. Or,
yeah, because people don't pay to get on the Joe Rogan podcast. It's just because if you
clout.
If you get on, you're kind of made.
You're
you know what I mean?
The clout god,
Clout god. I like that.
So upset that I just said that.
It's okay.
I'm glad you're not recording this. Oh wait, it is recorded. Never
It
mind.
is recorded. It's just automatic recording.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, anything new going on apart from spring break? You have plans?
Yeah, so okay, something new that was just passed, but new enough to talk about. So we had a tennis match last night.
Oh yeah? How'd that go?
It was an interesting experience. All I gotta say is growth.
Growth?
Yeah. So in our first game of doubles, so starting off the entire match, I got served in the head.
Yo.
Yeah. So it was just kind of a scary experience because it hit the back of my head and my ear, and it rattled me because honestly I thought oh my god, I have concussion because I was really fuzzy. It was just kind of a weird experience, but. I don't know, my thing was I was I'm not going to give up. That was just in my head. And it's something that my coach would always tell us, like obviously like if you're gonna fall over, like you've got to sit down. But like
Yeah.
I mean, like it's like don't give up. And so you know what? I had a really cool experience where like one of my favorite hymns like popped into my head.
Which one?
Hymn 263.
How does that
Only
go?
God can bring us gladness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I love that hymn because first of all, it's so cute. But also I had this really weird like realization during it where like the second part goes, joys are vain that end in sorrow, I think. Sorrow or sadness.
Yeah, sadness.
Sadness.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know, I can't
Good
figure
question.
out. But
Yeah.
but I mean when you think about that, like joys are vain that end in sadness. So for me, like I was like, okay, it's kind of vain to only be happy if you win. Or if you're not like enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's like kind of vain. Like like if you're only doing it to win.
Yeah, I never
know?
thought about those lyrics before.
Me either. And like
Yeah.
I was having all this go on, you know, like during my match and everything. And we ended up losing. But I mean, for me, like I kind of counted as like a mental win
Yeah.
because I mean, I had never experienced something so like vivid to me,
Yeah.
you know, where like the words just like were in my head and like I was like, I feel like I was like, you know, Da Vinci Code, like deciphering
Yeah.
what the game of life means, you
It's
know?
that's a good feeling. I love those kind of things.
it was awesome. So I do not have concussion.
Good.
I'm living, breathing. Had a midterm this morning. Felt really great about it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really study. Like honestly, today's good. Today's really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I thought I had a concussion last. It was over the break when I was doing jiu-jitsu. It was towards the beginning of the break, and someone like we're all rolling, which means just like fighting, grappling, like
Yeah.
just and on like the same mat. And so two people who were much larger than me, they were two like maybe 30, 35-year-old guys who were like 220 pounds each, and they rolled into me, and so one of their feet hit the back of my head. And I just totally lost hearing in my right ear. And I was like, dang, what's going on? This is not all right. I'd like to be able to hear. And so I don't really know what happened. But I don't think I had a concussion. I was actually like on the highway. I was calling college and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I should be driving right now. But I mean,
Yeah.
we're working. We're definitely going forward on the road and just highway from here on out. So I guess I'll be fine. But
I think it's the
yeah,
shock.
it's
Like,
the shock.
It's always the shock because then once the shock wears off, you're like, all right, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like I can
Yeah.
breathe. Like,
Yeah. And then I took a shower and I was fine.
No, I know, me too.
It was done after like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But it
Yeah.
was like a weird hour and a half, 2 hours. Like I kind of felt like not
Yeah.
all there. Yeah.
Well, it's also I think like the power of like giving something like a label and then
Yeah.
thinking that that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because like if you didn't even know like what a concussion was, you'd be like, oh, I'm fine.
Sure.
Like I just feel fuzzy or something. And so I think sometimes it's like this is just I mean personally I find that lots of times like I want to like look stuff up like if I'm feeling a certain way
Yeah.
like I'm like it takes like so much self-control to not do that Google search and be
Yeah.
like
I think
like,
there's a point where it
symptom
makes
tracker.
sense to do that. I think there's a
Right.
point where it makes sense to do that. Like if you've been having something for a while or it feels like serious,
yeah.
it makes sense. But like for the majority of things, you're going to be all right.
Exactly. It's like,
Like
but it's like that initial.
if you can picture
yeah.
yourself waking up in the morning being like, yeah, I can go to work.
Yeah.
Like then, yeah, okay.
It's like the initial impulse, though. It's like, do not look it up on like what's like the one. It's like Mayo
WebMD.
Clinic or something. Yeah, WebMD, Mayo Clinic.
Mhm.
Like
We
they
all
probably
know.
just get all the questions. Like I wonder how many Google searches like per day are just like,
Yeah.
I have a headache. What's wrong with me?
I had such like a guilt about that,
Yeah.
doing that, because I was raised in Christian Science, and I think people that are raised in Christian Science, it's really, really difficult to get away from the guilt of associating yourself with modern medicine.
Totally.
And so I'm over that now. I've had enough good experiences with modern medicine that I have my own opinion on it. But
Yeah.
it's just something you have to get through at the beginning if you're
Yeah.
trying to checking around your beliefs, like figuring out based on not other people's perspective but your own perspective, like how you think the world should work
Right.
according to how you live. Yeah.
And like in the end,
You know.
though, too, like you make your decision as to what you believe. So I mean, it's actually kind of nice to have options.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Because
definitely.
in the end, like I mean, you're gonna believe what you're gonna believe, and I mean, nothing can really change that.
Yeah, I mean-
because- yeah. So
Having options is one of like the most important parts of your life if you're interested in having the most agency as possible, right?
oh, totally. Yeah.
And I know you're a big person of agency.
Yeah,
Right?
Free agency, baby.
Yeah,
give it to me.
There it is. There it is. Yeah. One thing that I wanted to talk with you about, and you were like, yeah, that makes sense to talk about during the show, is the craziness of insecurities.
Oh my gosh.
My
favorite topic.
Yeah, like for example, I gave you one. Like sometimes I feel like I don't have the sharpest jawline because I can move my throat more than the average person. Like it's so weird. So like I've seen other people that can do it too.
Yeah.
But it makes me just think about like, dang, okay, is my throat in a position right? Is the posture of my throat in a position where it looks like I have a strong jawline? So like when I smile, I like put the tongue to the roof of my mouth, and you can see it easier.
Yeah.
But that's just something I care about because we care about strong jawlines in our fashion and beauty society right now. But in general, like I don't really care that much, but it's something I think about. It crosses my mind.
Oh, totally.
You know?
I think just having, I mean, honestly, so lately I've been talking with the professor of music here, Wendy Reynolds.
Yeah.
I've been talking to her a lot about like what the inner critic is. And this concept of like the inner critic is like, say something is going really, really good in your life and like face value, it's great, right?
Yeah.
But like in your head, you like pick it apart and you find things wrong with it, even though it's like the goodness outweighs the bad.
Mm-hmm.
But like the inner critic will like tell you like, well, but it's not like that sharp of a jawline.
Yeah, it's a human nature thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. And I think that's like such a hard thing that like probably everyone deals with in their own way. Some people are better at dealing with it than others, but gosh, I just think the judgment surrounding it too. I mean, I find that, so for me, like skin has always been like a insecurity of mine.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's like whenever I have like one pimple, I swear, like I'm like, it's the only thing I can see on myself.
Yeah.
And then like no one is looking at it. Like no one cares, you know? Like no one cares.
It's
and
weird,
it's
man.
so it's so weird. But I think one of the things that contributes to that though is just this idea that like you have to pay so much attention to your skin, or like everything is skincare now, And I feel like just the idea of like self-care and skincare has almost backfired on society in a way where it's like with such an emphasis on it, it's like you feel like you're constantly trying to reach this level of perfection of like clear skin, whenever like that's just not the reality. Like you are who you are, and like it's like you need to like accept that, because like if you don't accept that, then
it's tough. Some people have acne like pretty bad, and in that case, I understand like messing with it. But I had pretty bad acne by like high school standards, like any young guy, like that puberty hits him like a brick wall. So I was trying all the skincare stuff, and then I heard a house pop talk to another person that was living in the dorm. Like, you guys. He was saying something along the lines of like, you guys use too much stuff in your skin. Just like let it do its thing.
Let it breathe, yeah.
Let it do its thing. Just wash it in the shower with your hands, no soap. Just see how it works. And so I like overheard the conversation. I was like, yeah, maybe I can try that. And so I did that. Maybe like a month later, I had like 70% less stuff. And so I don't really think about my skin anymore. It used to be like the number one thing, and now I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. I don't really.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's like this, this societal like norm of just like buying all these products to like, if they call it like to like targeted skincare, where it's like use this, or spot treatment. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Like a spot treatment. Like this is for if you have a pimple, just put this on there, and
Yeah.
And like
it's like do the small thing and it'll make a big difference.
Right, and it does not. It
doesn't.
does not. Like
you also think to yourself like I would take pictures of myself and go to Microsoft Paint and edit them out. I'm weirdly proficient at Microsoft Paint. I love that software. But I would like Photoshop myself to see like what would I look like without pimples. And I was like, wow, this guy's pretty hot. This would be great to not have pimples. So like I was trying to like keep on top of my skin, but it turns out the solution was actually just to not do anything.
Yeah, no, exactly. I find that like whenever I'm less focused on my skin, and more focused on being present
Mm.
in the moment, or like in my life, you know, just being present in my life and what's going on, and focusing on, honestly, like focusing on how I'm like expressing love to other people, or how I'm, you know, helping other people.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I change my thought and I put my emphasis on like, what can I do to, you know, make someone else's day happy, you know, I just like, I think I go to that extent sometimes to sort of just get the emphasis off of like myself.
Yourself, yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, we think about ourselves like every day because we are us, you know. Right? But I just think that for me, you know, it sometimes becomes like a very strong inner critic, where it's just like that one pimple, you know, has to dictate how everyone looks or everyone sees me, and you know, I have to put like concealer over it to feel confident. And you know, that's something that I still battle with. I mean, it's not so much it's not as bad as it used to be, but like honestly, this is kind of sad, and I'll admit, I wore makeup in high school every single day until I think senior year. And like a senior year, I had a few days. I remember the first day, senior year, when I went to school without makeup on. I was terrified, but oh my God, what a thrill.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And like, I quickly realized that like nobody cared. It was the greatest feeling ever. Like no one actually cared. So I was like, well, this is cool. Like I can like, you know, and that was also proof that like they weren't like friends with me because like I wore makeup. They were friends with me because I was me and they liked who I was, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's such a strong like lesson, and just things that like I wish I knew, you know, whenever I was like, you know, a sophomore in high school, and like I felt like I had to dress up every day, wear heels to school, like wear makeup to like feel like powerful, which is, you know, I feel like I got my like a false sense of confidence a little bit there. But then again, I think like later into high school, I kind of like realized that it was different. Sorry, I got off on a tangent.
No,
but
you're
like,
fine. No, I feel like that's part of that's just part of like moving forward in time.
Yeah.
Like for example, there's a lot of I don't like the term cancel culture, because there's a lot of like things that maybe we should definitely address them. Like I don't know what's going on with Cuomo right now. I don't know how that's going to pan out, but like we gotta look into it before we start just canceling him. Like let's like one of my favorite esports players right now is named Sinatra. He just got accused of sexual assault by his ex-girlfriend, and he's like, we obviously remember like this relationship very differently. We both said that we both agree that it was unhealthy, but like the details are not the same, and I'm giving up all the audio and video that she mentioned. I'm being totally cooperative. So so there's an investigation going on, but like I'll see posts saying like on Reddit and YouTube are like my window into the social world or social media world. But I'll see posts on Reddit being like just canceling him before there's even something going on. Yeah, it's frustrating. Where was I going with this? Going back, cancel culture. Dang, I totally forgot. That's really unfortunate. Anyway, one other thing that I wanted to go off of even before then was please. Oh yeah, we're in this weird state between monkeys and like something bigger. And so we care about these. I'll come back to the Sinatra thing at some point. I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, we're in this weird point between like monkeys and something better than that. Whether that be some kind of cyborg situation, or maybe even detaching brain matter from physical body and putting it in a place where it can exist without physical agency while they still can maintain mechanical agency. Like there's a lot of ways you can see the human species going if we can survive getting off Earth, which is probably for most species like the like line that they have to get past. Like there's a filter for life. I've heard of this before. There's a filter for life in the universe, and one reason why we might not have seen, or we don't have like particularly strong evidence for viewing extraterrestrial life right now, like on this planet, is because probably not too much extraterrestrial life has gotten off its own planet.
Makes sense.
You know, like there might be a fairly advanced species on each planet, but like maybe they died trying to get off. Like once you disperse your like you can only hold so many species on a ship made from resources on your planet, just the surface part of your planet. So you can't really carry all 7 billion people on one ship, but you can carry maybe 10,000. What if that ship blows up? 10,000 people gone. Now you got to make another ship to get to another planet. So we haven't quite gotten there, but before we get there, we got to address a lot of things, like these weird monkey instincts of needing to be like as attractive as physically possible, apart from how you might just look regularly.
And I think like how that attraction is defined is also like so weird.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, like what made someone be like not having like texture on your skin is like attractive.
That is probably linked back to less diseases.
That's true. But even like
but most things I can figure
like
out where they
hair
came
too.
from.
Like it's so weird. Like
body hair is a weird one. I haven't thought about that one as much.
It's just odd.
It's not something I particularly care about as much as a regular person, just because I've thought about like, okay, why don't I care about this? I don't really mind either way. But there is like part of me that's like, yeah, maybe just it is like more attractive for there to be less of it on a chick and more of it on a guy. Like, because that's just how, that's how I grew up. Like my dad was super hairy. My dad is an ape. And then like my mom didn't have much hair on her. That's just how things went. Not saying that's good or bad, but like that's just
totally. No, I feel like a lot of like that kind of stuff is like something again like you grew up with. It's where it's just like I think it's like your level of comfort.
Right? And that slowly changes through generations. So I'm not super worried about like right now we're in the in between when it comes to body hair. I have a lot of friends who are girls that don't shave their armpits, don't shave their legs, and that's just how it goes. There's not too much past that. I don't think about it. It's like, Maria, you should shave your legs. Yeah. It's about time, Maria. I'm not going to say that.
No one's going to say
No one cares. But at the same time, like some people just still do it.
Right. I mean, like personally, like I think it feels better.
I do too.
Like honestly, I don't know. I just think
I'll trim my belly. So it looks like my chest hair is a little more. So my pecs look just a tiny bit like more defined than they actually are.
Sculpted.
Yeah, isn't that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's not something that like, because there's no such thing as like an attractive chick. I can only really speak for chicks. I know when dudes are attractive, but not in the same way. So like, there's no such thing as like this is what an attractive chick looks like. Just like if you look at a chick, like, oh yeah, I think she's cute.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, maybe she's not like my thing, but she's someone else's for sure.
Right.
So it's
and like that's an interesting topic because I feel like there's this thing in society too that says like if you don't think like this is attractive, like you're a bad person.
Yeah, that bothers me.
Oh my God, that me too. Because I mean, first of all, like you can't make me find something attractive, right? But like I love what you said about how like that could be attractive to someone else.
Yeah.
Which I totally believe that, but it's like there shouldn't be campaigns around like I'm gonna use the word canceling you if you don't think something is attractive about someone.
I think it starts to get problematic when you are effectively forced into using materials to be at least of the regular standard. So like I have a big problem with like Victorian era fashion because it doesn't make any sense to me. Resources are hard to come by. You wear a ton of clothes every day, and like and you're also pretty hot in these clothes. Like it's just the least functional thing I can think of. When it comes to clothing. But now I think we're getting more to it. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
This is a temperature controlled room. Like when I go outside, I'm all right. It's what, like 60 degrees out, 60, 70 degrees out? No, not 70. That'd be hot.
No, I think it's like 58.
58, yeah. So I'm comfortable when I go outside, and I think that's the way clothing should be.
Right.
But then like there's Louis Vuitton and help me out here. Give me some hype beast names. Supreme, Gucci,
Prada. I'm giving you like designers. Like,
yeah, and when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, it's not a very effective way to put clothes on your body. But like, I assume the main reason you do that is because some chicks dig it, or you want like affirmation from other dudes or people in like that community.
That's an interesting topic right there.
What do you mean? Which part?
Is like dressing for other people. Because I think I think I'm have to disagree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
And what?
think so. I think for me, it's like something that I like that is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it's like I work hard to make the money to buy that thing, right? Because I like it.
You have a nice handbag. I've seen that before. It's like the brown one. I don't know if it's nice, but it looks nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that is that.
For instance, yeah. So it's like for me, it's like I kind of view it as more of like something like for me as a more personal thing. Now some people might like actually like dress for other people, which is cool, but like I don't know, I've always just felt so like detached from the view of like dressing for other people, because for me, like, well, I feel like it's shifted for me. So initially, like in high school, like I said before, I definitely, was partly doing that for other people. But then I think it evolved to once I like became confident in myself and knew that like I was like an original, and I was like I'm the only me,
Yeah.
And I think like once you like realize that and accept that, I was able to like pick things that I liked and wear them because I like them. And I think like whenever like I see someone else doing that, like I find that attractive.
Yeah.
Someone who's like confident and secure in like what they're wearing, because like they're not concerned with what other people are, what they think.
Yeah, maybe. I guess like I shouldn't have generalized so much, because my understanding of fashion is completely different from someone like my friend Grace St. George. She's very fashionable.
Oh my gosh,
she dresses great
it. Yeah.
pretty much every day, like every time that I see her. And I like, maybe I'm not gonna psychoanalyze that, but but like yeah, we don't like my understanding of clothing when it comes to myself is, okay, what am I doing today?
Right.
Am I gonna be dirty? Yes, I might get dirty today. It's a little rainy outside. I'll wear my beat-up shoes.
Yeah.
I'll wear some pants so I'm not too cold, and a shirt that isn't too nice, but it's nice enough to present myself to this webcam.
Right. Well, I think too, like,
so,
I would honestly say that like clothing and like fashion, I think that has actually become more of like a hobby for some people.
Yeah, I agree.
Which
I agree.
I think like you're kind of like describing like what like should be, but like it's like what like the I guess just like dressing for comfort, dressing
well,
for
there's a functionality versus
functionality
fashion.
Versus fashion. And I think some people just really like enjoy like pairing outfits together and like wearing them, and I think it's kind of like an art. It's an expression of art.
Yeah, I'd agree, because like just 70 years ago, clothing was pretty uniform. I think it was started in like the late 60s, mid 60s, late 60s, when things started getting a little like out there. 70s is all the way out there, and then we've kind of gone a little back to a little more conservatively dressed, but you still got people that, yeah, it's become a hobby.
Right. But also like, I mean, now that we're talking about it, like,
yeah, sure.
How many like styles have come back?
How many?
Or like,
Mom jeans came back, we know that.
Like, I just think it's funny how like the cycle is just like you keep seeing things come back.
I think humans are in that way. I think that all that is just humans learning from history. So like we figured out that it's just not the best way to dress, like Victorian times. Like you have an undershirt, you have a vest, you have an overcoat, you have nice pants. Underneath that, you have what are they called? Breeches? I'm not sure.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, but like you have way too much going on. And so we're in this clothing that we do now, inspired from the past, definitely the near past, but we've looked back and you're like, okay, what do we really like about this one? Makes sense for me. And so like a lot of us in our generation at least, they're like, yeah, 60s and 70s, like that was pretty cool. And so there's a lot of people our age, like guys our age, including me, when I wear shorts, I like my shorts shorter than most dudes, just because I like the way that looks,
So I have a theory.
Yeah.
It's kind of far out, but so I think the I guess we call it vintage, but like that was like my parents' time, right? Like 70s.
Oh, we
80s.
call that vintage?
Yeah, I would say people call that vintage. Like
it's not my world, so
right.
I'll let you speak. Yeah.
So I think the reason why that stuff has come back and why a lot of people like in our generation, like so I've met people that literally like they only wear stuff from the 70s or 80s, and they only have objects from that time.
Yeah.
So like they literally are like living in that time, right? My theory is because like they think that time is better than where we are now. That time in history is better than where we are now.
I've asked a lot of old people what their favorite decade has been. Not old people, people in between the ages of 45 and 95, like what their favorite decade is, and they don't seem to dress like that decade, in my experience. So your theory might totally hold up, but just not in my social circles.
Right.
Or maybe it's not a parallel.
Gotcha. That
Yeah,
makes
maybe I
sense.
haven't seen them in the right situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is though where it's like the unknown, because our generation obviously wasn't alive then.
Yeah.
But like I think a lot of it is so appealing, and I think it's funny because, I mean, essentially that generation is like, the influence is probably from their parents, right? Because like that was my parents, and so I mean, yeah, I kind of dig a lot of the stuff that like, my parents sort of like influenced me, or toward me, like music taste, for instance. Like my dad is a huge music guy. I was probably influenced by the music that he showed me, which is like Eagles, Poco, the Cars, they're more 80s, but Fleetwood Mac, Beatles. Like, I just think like, that influence, but also like the thrill of like the unknown, right? Like the thrill of like, wow, my parents lived through that. Like, that's so cool. Like, I'm kind of where they were. Like, I think you kind of like adopt like a sense of like,
I know what you mean.
Like influence, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, like I was playing Ditto coming in, like Ditto by Aries, which is probably my favorite song right now. It like just came out, and I'm just picturing me listening to that 10 years in the future. How old am I? I'm 21. 10 years in the future, 31. It's safe to assume that I'll have a kid by then. That's within bounds of reason.
Sure.
Like, I'll be listening to that with a kid being like, dang, in like 10 years, maybe he'll be listening to Ditto, or she'll be listening to Ditto.
It's such a weird concept, right?
Yeah.
Like thinking like into the future.
Like this is going to be the new old.
Yeah, it's like, do my parents have these thoughts like all the time? Like, do they think it's weird when I'm listening to the Eagles? Because they're like, oh, like I went on a date, to this song,
Yeah, well,
like,
something to relate to our parents too, because we don't really have too much to relate to apart from our own, like, experiences, like vacations we've gone on, or just life at home. But like I listen to Bruce Springsteen, and if there's like a new song from the 70s or 80s that I like, I'll tell my dad and be like, hey, what do you think? And he'd be like, yeah, it's actually kind of similar to this song, and he'll send me something, and maybe I like it, maybe I don't, but at least there's that kind of connection.
Yeah, I think that it's a funny concept, like just thinking about how I'm going to feel about a certain thing like 10, 20, 30 years into the future. Like
what song's going to last, or what clothing is going to last?
Yeah,
like,
just all of it.
What's going to make it into the time capsule?
Totally, yeah. I mean, it's just a wild thought to think. I mean, even looking back to like the 2010s, like that doesn't really seem like that long ago.
Yeah, it was. I see it as a really long time ago because I'm thinking in like humans getting to be not humans. That's the whole track I'm on in my life. Right. Just like, what can I do to not be a stupid monkey? like what am I doing that is actually just like monkey instincts, and what do I need to break out of? What makes sense to have for now? Like, for example, I know I'm on a Christian Science radio station, but like my personal belief right now is that religion is a really, really good stepping stone to having a civil society. Like, don't kill people, don't rape people, don't want something else's thing. These will make your life better. But then in all religions, I think there's some things that get tied up on. Like Christianity is have its homophobia is a weird word because I don't think people are scared of gay people, but like not agreeing with that situation. So or with people wanting to be gay, like they don't think it should be. Not many Christians anymore, luckily, but we've had to go over that stepping stone. And so is that still Christianity? If we take out that thing, like follow the word of the Bible, right? But which ones? The ones that say like stoning someone for having sex with someone else is that cool? I don't know.
Right. That's actually something that I've been contemplating a lot recently, and I think it's just because I'm in Barry Huff's Old Testament class.
Yeah.
And so I think just hearing about just all the things that went on in the Bible, and like just because so for me, I mean, we've all heard like the Sunday school stories, right? Like the basics. But when you actually hear the interpretations and the commentaries, that people have devoted their lives to studying these things, and you hear their theories, it's like, what in the world? Like, I'm sorry, King David and Bathsheba, like, what?
Yeah,
It
there's
just
stuff like
doesn't-
that all the time.
Right, but like, I mean, just the fact that it's like none of that really makes it into the lesson, you know? It's like, or funny things like that where it's like, it's like there's not many, you know, things in the lesson about the really awful stuff from the Bible. I mean, for
Yeah.
good reasons, but it's an interesting thing to like expose yourself to.
Well, there's like the Christian Reformation where we got rid of like a lot of the you know, things that Jews still hold, like kosher meat, for example. Like make sure you eat meat that's slain like humanely. Christians don't really care about that.
Right.
This is America. We do factory farming here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be like another Reformation. Like it's like, okay, like I know the Pope has said this in Catholicism. He's been like, yeah, with gays, go for it. You can be Christians too. Why not?
Yeah.
Screw it. Let's get crazy up in here. So I like that. Maybe you can count that as another Reformation, but it's definitely not official.
Right. I think part of it too is, you know, I don't think that there's as many people who are joining Christianity, if that makes sense, than in the past. And so I think, you know, this might sound really weird and insensitive, and it's not meant to.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think certain organizations, or you could even say religion, kind of operates as a business sometimes.
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
That's undeniable.
And so, yeah, so I don't want it to seem like I'm
Catholic
being
Church,
right.
mega churches, Joel Osteen, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, and you see that because it's like, we'll call it like a customer base, right? It's like, you know, if your margins are, you know, narrowing and you're not having as much profit as in, you know, like newcomers, you know, you'd want to open up and be more inclusive, right?
Yeah. I
And
guess
so it's like, part of it is like how much is actual genuine acceptance and how much is actually, you know, I'm opening up and being inclusive and making a public statement so that I, you know, won't get rid of, you know, these followers.
Yeah, I don't know how much that's thought of. I feel like Christianity's similar to what you're saying, like Christianity's business model right now, or at least for things you have to pay for, like Catholic Church and lots of mega churches, especially in the South, is, how do you put it? Like they're super open. Like they're just like, anyone, come in. All you heroin addicts out there, get over here. We love you.
Right.
And that's good. I'm glad that there's like a place for people that feel like they're lost.
Oh, totally.
But in the same way, like there's still like a judging aspect. Like if you don't pay your tithes, like Susan and Mary didn't. Sorry, those are two girl names. Susan and Tom didn't pay their tithes last month. I don't think they're real Christians. They're not willing to sacrifice.
And that's kind of like the point where I was going. I wasn't saying that, like, you know, public statements and actions are, you know, and being inclusive of everyone is, you know, what was I trying to say here? I still just looked at the speaker on the wall and I just lost everything.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. There's tons of stuff in this room that just like.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that, like, you know, that is not genuine. But I think it's more of what you were saying, where it's just like there's like this judgment, or even like a little bit of pressure to be perfect, or to do it right.
I think Christian Science has got it right in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be possible bias or just me knowing more about the religion, but it seems like we've been able to avoid a lot of the weird things. We got caught up in some things, like, for example, like the drug war we were pretty involved in the beginning of it, and especially like even now it's expanded to pharmaceuticals, and you know, people can have their own opinions on that, and that's to be expected. Every religion gets caught up in something, but I think Christian Science does a pretty good job. Like I don't feel too much judging when I don't pay money when I go to church, like just basic things like that.
But I think part of that is actually because of, I mean, more and more, I don't classify Christian Science as necessarily a religion. I believe that it's more of a lifestyle.
It's becoming more of that when people, like, as people are shifting more from organized religion to spirituality.
And I think part of that is because of, there's this idea that if you don't go to church, you can still demonstrate and practice Christian Science. And I think a lot of religions are centralized, right? Way more centralized than Christian Science, as in like everything happens in the church. Like you have to go to mass, like you have to, and obviously you can pray outside of church and everything, but I mean, again, other religions are very, very centralized, right? And I think Christian Science is like, it has that lifestyle aspect to it. So it's like, I mean, you could never set foot in a church but still be a practicing Christian Science, Christian scientist.
It's good. There's some pros and cons to that. So, for example, like the Catholic Church is probably the most centralized Christian religion, and subsection of Christianity, because they have a pope and they have cardinals and bishops and priests. They have this like very real power structure, or chain of command, if you want to say, but Christian Science, as you said, doesn't have that, and there's pros to that, meaning like no one's really holding you down, no one's really judging you on how you practice, but then at the same time, no one's really on the same page either. Like I've had science, or not science teachers. What are they called? Sunday school teachers that like think that it's totally within reason to imagine yourself going through an event because you locked yourself out of your house or something like that, and you can just fly through the vent and then now you're inside. And that's crazy to me. I don't know. Yeah. So, but obviously that's probably not a popular, opinion or stance.
Right.
But there's stuff that's always going to pop up like that when there's not a centralized. Centralized. It keeps you up to something. Make sure everyone's on the same page. Non-centralized, it's good because you feel more free, but you might not be on the same page as everyone else, or you might be missing something that other people have found out like sooner than you.
I totally hear that, and I totally understand it, because I mean, it would feel more stable to have more of like a centralized thought process, right? A centralized thing to think.
Yeah,
but
I don't think one is better, by the way. I think that's just both
totally.
considered.
Yeah. But I mean, I think I definitely lean more along the lines of just the way I think. So for me personally, I think, I thrive when I have that free agency, right? When I have like the decentralized, the freedom to, interpret the way that it needs to be interpreted for me in that moment, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think for me, like that is a huge draw to Christian Science. And I was thinking about this the other day too, which is really strange, but do you ever think like if you were never exposed to Christian Science, like would you find it and become a Christian Scientist? Because I honestly think that I would.
Really?
Because of the way, I mean, I think it might take me a minute to sort of like get adjusted to, I think that a lot of newcomers to Christian Science are maybe like a little apprehensive of like, am I doing this right? Like, you mean I'm allowed to like think this, or like I'm allowed to just trust God fully? It's like, there's like this just level of I think, skepticism, I would say. I think because the basis of Christian Science is healing,
Yeah.
Healing through capital L love. And so I think, for me, like that is so appealing, and but I could totally see now how like, someone that could not be like stable enough for someone, like just the unknown and not knowing if you're not fully like being able to see if your needs are going to be met, right?
Yeah.
Like I totally see that. But I think for me, like that's all right, because I've had that demonstration. I've had those healings where, like I felt like it wasn't going to happen or something, and then lo and behold, it did in the best way possible. And so I think it all comes down to, your life experiences and what you're comfortable with. And I mean, I think that's just another amazing thing about the U.S., honestly. Like, just to bring it in, like the fact that you can choose what you want to believe. Mm-hmm.
It's really nice.
And not have anyone be like, that's stupid. You can't do that,
Well, I mean...
Wait, people do that, but I mean, like...
People do that,
I mean, per regulation of government or... or whatever power.
Separation of church and state.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we take that for granted, honestly, a lot. I think a lot of Americans, we just take that for granted, the freedoms that we have here.
I think it's because we've seen that not all those freedoms are carried out. Like, for example, it took until 2015 to make it federally legal for 2 men or 2 women to be married.
Right.
And what? Excuse me, 2015? I was 15. Everyone was already totally cool with things, but that is very obviously a tie between church and state. We've gotten rid of that, so it's good. We're getting closer and closer. But I think like we overlook it because it's not. There's always holes to that kind of thing, and so you still don't really trust it. So you live by your own standards anyway. I don't think the law really dictates how people live in the majority of ways. It just dictates what the government can put people in cages for.
Yeah, interesting perspective. Great wording.
Great. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, man. Well, cool. 46 minutes in. This time really flies, doesn't it?
It really does. That was a cool conversation.
Yeah,
I was getting really into that.
Yeah, it's man, I love talking to people. It's so good.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Spring break plans.
Oh yeah. So also, just a little disclaimer, there's been an eyelash in the corner of my eye for like 20 minutes.
It's okay. No one's looking at you.
No, I know, but every time I go to talk, I would eyelash.
Oh.
But it's okay.
I haven't noticed.
I'll
See?
make it through.
More things no one notices.
See, exactly. No one cares. That's my point. But anyway.
I've been fumbling with this wire like I do every podcast.
Oh, me too. I know. Twisting these
minutes.
little cords. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like my dexterity has gotten really, really good in the time that.
Yeah.
Well, you know those toys where it's like it's just a rope, but like it's marketed in a way where it's like you can do crazy things with your fingers with this rope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
Right.
It's like that.
Someone just made $1 billion there for selling a piece of string.
So good.
Gosh.
Such a good idea.
I get jealous sometimes. But
Yeah, you're going to Miami.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm going to Miami Beach. Or actually, I'm going to Miami. Going to South Beach. Yeah. No, it's
Why
gonna
Miami?
be awesome.
Why not Tampa? Why not?
Yeah. So
Jacksonville.
I think price had a lot to go into it. Proximity to the coast.
How many minutes drive are you?
So the airport is about 22-ish minutes from where we're staying. So we're just gonna get and there's a shuttle that actually goes.
That's awesome.
To there, to
That's fantastic.
to the main road in South Beach. And okay, so the huge draw for me was definitely just the walkability of South Beach. Because I didn't want to drive or have to rent a car, because the fees that they charge a 21-year-old to rent a car is ridiculous.
How much is it?
I think, for us, I was looking at it and it was an extra $300 in fees. Which, that was just for
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, just cause we're 21 and we're not, whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I think just the walkability, weather. Oh my gosh, weather. We love that.
It's great down there.
Yeah, and honestly,
I
I went to the Florida Keys, Sarasota area, on a family vacation whenever I was 9, 2009. Oh yeah, let's go. Yeah, and it was just such a fun time. It was probably my favorite family vacation. I just love Florida, and so we just wanted to go somewhere that was warm, sunny.
I got some family in Florida, and I've been invited down a couple of times. I just it's tough when you're in college. You kind of have 9 months out of the year at college, and the rest of the 3 months you really got to figure out what you're doing.
Oh my gosh.
But in reality, you really just got to work the whole time, because
totally.
there's no other way to make
no money. I know, yeah.
Income.
It's a struggle.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I would like to go down to Florida sometime soon. I've been there
Totally.
quite a few times. It's just it's nice. It's not like Texas heat. It's wetter.
Yeah, no, I know the air. It was funny. Tyler was asking me about. He's like, how's the weather gonna be? I'm gonna be I was like,
wet and hot.
Wet.
Wet and hot.
Wet.
Yeah.
You walk outside and wet.
There's gonna be a coating of water on you.
Yeah.
Not quite. But.
It cracks me up because you can totally tell who's from there and who's not, because people are so unbothered by it, right? They're just walking around sweat dripping down them. They're chilling, and then everyone else, all the tourists, are like, oh my god, it's so hot.
Yeah.
They're carrying around water bottles.
Isn't it weird how people will very obviously adjust their temperature? like Alex Parrish, he's lived in Alaska for a very long time, and so like when it's 30 degrees out, he's still probably in like shorts and
he
maybe
had a t-shirt,
a t-shirt, a hoodie,
Yeah.
like light hoodie. But then like for me, I got 2 layers on. I'm
I'm
making
like
sure I'm bundled
freezing.
up.
Yeah.
And then when it hits 60 degrees after winter, it's like, praise Jesus.
No, it really is.
God has shown himself from heaven. Like it's so warm. But then when it's 90 degrees regularly, like peak of summer, 60 degrees, you're actually shivering.
Oh, yeah.
And so it might have something to do with like heat shock proteins. I'm not sure the scientific reason why that happens, but like I came out of my van on like I drive mail from the college to the mailroom that as one of my jobs, and so like I got out of my van. It's like, dang, it's really, really warm outside, and I look at the temperature, and it's like 55.
No, I know. It's
like,
honestly
dang, I'd be
felt
freezing if this was the summer.
Yeah, I think it was like, so we had like 2.5 weeks of just like 0.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was
so cool.
so
Negative
brutal.
17 wind chill.
Oh my God,
Negative
like
20
that.
wind chill.
That felt like it was never gonna end, and then when it did, even the next day, like whenever it was like 36 out, I had on a hoodie,
Just a
and
hoodie.
I was like free. Like it was
Yeah.
awesome. I was like, it's spring, baby.
Yeah,
Even though it was
adjust really
36
fast.
degrees.
People
Yeah.
adjust really, really fast.
Yeah.
And that's why it makes sense. Like, that's why humans look so different. We're such a weird animal because we were like, yeah, let's get super smart, let's make tools, and then let's go everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're going to look super different. There's humans that are like 5'9", and like completely dark. Okay, for example, the pygmies in the Congo look absolutely nothing like my recent ancestors, like the taller than average people from Northern Europe. That's what I came from. But then there's like an average of like 5 foot for a male and totally dark skin, just like a couple thousand miles south.
Yeah.
People are just super different. I looked on the wiki
Yeah.
page for like the genus, I guess, of Homo. So like there's Homo floresiensis and Homo erectus, like the early versions of humans. Australopithecus, like super deep, and then like I'm seeing like the general heights, like estimated heights based on bones that we found, and then I see humans and it says like average height 5'1" to 6'10". It's like, excuse
Holy
me, what
crap,
kind of
yeah.
animal is this? Yeah.
No,
so.
it's totally crazy because when you think of like humans as like like one race, the human race, right? I mean, what other like species of
Dogs.
living being? Yes. No, I was thinking that. Wait, you read my
But
mind.
we consider dogs different breeds. Like, we
Yeah.
don't even consider German Shepherds and Chihuahuas the same animal. But I assume because they're in the same genus, they could probably mate, right? Theoretically. And so, like, if dogs were running the world, would they consider humans different breeds? Like, I look absolutely nothing like my friend Jimmy, for example, that plays with me in rugby. I believe he's from Kenya. Obviously, our ancestries are from completely different parts of the world, but we're both humans. We both have the same
Totally.
mental capacity. We both have the same physical capacity, more or less. He's a bit of a better athlete than me, but like that's just how people are. We vary so much. Would dogs consider us like the same species?
Oh my God, I'm just thinking about like which dog would be like, or oh my gosh, which dogs would be like, or which dogs would feel like insecure, or like I don't know, or something.
Yeah.
Like it'd be so weird. Like
Well, if it's a world revolving around power, like most of human history have been, then Chihuahuas would be extremely oppressed.
gosh, wow.
Yeah.
Man.
But it's a weird thought, and
It's
like
such a
if
weird
you
thought.
research that too much, you might get a little sketchy. You might get a little bit like political territory.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Some people have some really strange views.
Yeah. So.
But yeah. But also, I mean, think about it like this. I mean, I gotta say, like, if we all just thought of like humankind as humankind, like.
We're getting close, man. I think it's the vast majority of people that do that now. It just might take another generation or two to phase out totally. Because I mean, like, if you
Let's
just
hope.
think in 10 years, like, or in the next 10 years, we'll be fully into like, you know what? I want to live in Nigeria. I could do that. I could live in Nigeria if I figured out how the heck I would live there. But like I can get on a plane and I can be there, and I can find a lovely Nigerian lady, and we can have kids. And like skin tone might get like super homogenous in the next 30 years, right? Like there's going to be probably a general darkening, as you know, because I think the majority of humans, like there's more like dark, like I'm very white. I'm from Scandinavia. That's like where my family's from.
Right.
But then like that's just a little tiny section of the world, and the majority of the world, like Southern Asia and all of Africa, which is a giant continent, and there's humans all over that thing.
Yeah.
Like, don't you think like people would people look drastically different?
Right.
Because all these different heritages are being mixed together.
Man, that's just so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
How like
Isn't that
you know,
cool?
just there's so much variety. Like that is something to celebrate. It really is.
Truly.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So I don't think maybe it's just gonna be in the next like 200 years. We're not even gonna have races anymore of people.
Wow. That's an interesting thought too.
I'm watching the show. I know we have 3 minutes left or 4 minutes left, but I'm watching the show called The Expanse. And essentially it takes place like 200, 300 years in the future where Mars is colonized. We've colonized Ceres and the asteroid belt. And, you know, people that are born and live in the asteroid belt have very weak bones, so they can't really survive on Mars or Earth that easy. They can't stand up. And so there's a bunch of like political dealings happening. It's a really interesting show. I was Cameron Douglas. He's one of my professors that I had on this radio show. He recommended it to me, and so something like I think about whenever I watch that show. It's like, dang, there's like definitely just Asians around here. Like, I don't think that's how it's gonna be. Like there's this one commander. I think she's a commander. I'm not sure. I'm not super deep into the show yet. I'm like episode 5, but she's like a commander of this Mars like battleship in space. And she's very obviously just Asian, based on what I can see. And I don't think that's how it's going to be in 200, 300 years.
Right.
Like, I can't
So
imagine.
you think everyone's going to look very similar?
I don't know about very similar, but, like, more similar than we do now, for sure. In both a height
thought.
way and a bone structure way, facial,
Right.
like, the skin tone way.
Okay, now you got me wanting to, like, really research this and, like, see what, like...
How do you research it?
Exactly.
The only thing you can research is the frequency of there being interracial couples.
Interesting.
And that's about it. And it's obviously, you know, based on the way travel works, based on the way we're getting more and more open about, you know, being in interracial relationships, then, you know, it's going to...
Yeah.
That deal is going to improve things in a lot of way, in my opinion.
Me too.
But because, like, in my family, I think we had, like, our first, like, mixed race Blaney ever. Or I guess last name would be Graves. But, you know, my first cousin just had a kid of, like, African ancestry. And that's dude, my family's all European until that. Like, oh, actually, my other cousin, Nina, she's from the Philippines. And so, like, I guess that happened. But, like, it's happening. It's starting to happen. I'm in the generation. Like, we're alive for the time that all humans are starting to become more of, like, one thing.
Yeah.
Than ever before. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
That's an exciting thing.
It'll be an interesting looking world when we're 70, 80.
Truly,
I'm just going to try to stay alive for it. That's my whole plan.
Oh,
just
me
playing
too, man.
things.
Let's do it.
Not playing things too safe, but making sure, you know, I can watch that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, we got a minute, 10 seconds left, more or less. You got anything else to say? Anything to plug?
Oh, gosh. Anything to plug?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll use this opportunity. My show will be on in 2 weeks.
What's it called?
Monday night, Happy Hour, where we talk about happy things, things that make us happy, things to do to get happy.
Cool.
Yeah, it's such a fun time. Monday night at 9, so be there for that.
All right.
I hope to have Christian on again. He was on my show last
Yeah, is there a way for
week.
anyone to see that? Is that on YouTube or what do you do with that?
So, I mean, I'm trying to move it to a platform of both, using a recording and putting that somewhere. But right now it's just on PIR. But maybe I'll consult Christian and have him help me.
Sure, I can definitely
outreach more. So yeah.
Yeah, and to my own guests, we got 15 seconds left. But to my own guests, I'm currently uploading the YouTube things. The reason it takes so long is because those files are 40 gigabytes, and I got to figure out how to make them smaller. But right now, I don't know. because I'm new to Adobe Premiere. And so we're just figuring out the kinks, but I'll get it soon. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a nice day. Say I love you to at least one other person. Peace, peace. Bye.
Bye, guys.